What the hell was that? Yeah, I needed to restart the stream there. I have no idea what the hell that was. Right, so what we're looking for is a Tesla at 54.30. Let's see if we can find upstep stuff. It was a knockdown drag out fight last night in the Democratic debate. I just love watching stuff. Hopefully, he wouldn't get strike by doing this. No, I still have what? Oh yeah, there's another one. That's bad. Alright, so
these markets are moving. We're going to attempt to put some sort of context over these markets and see if we can find some areas where we can practice some risk management. It's going to be very important, as it is every day. Eco news this morning, the jobless claims number came out slightly higher than expected. The Philly Fed came out much better than expected. Still coming out, we have the misleading indicators at 9 o'clock Central, the nat gas numbers at 9:30, and then at 10 o'clock Central, the crude stocks number due out. As far as the news is concerned, yes, it seems as though coronavirus continues to run these markets. There's reports of increased infection outside of China. Again, JD's got a little bit more information on that coming up. U.S. stocks set to open lower. Gold fear continues to boost price. It's at 7-year highs. Bonds are higher this morning. Dollar has hit 3-year highs. As far as crude prices are concerned, there's the highly shorted crude oil due to the coronavirus is rising. There's some information on production falling in Libya, and even despite rising inventories here in the U.S., the crude prices seem to continue to move higher. As far as earnings this morning, we have a couple already out this morning. Southern, Hormel Foods, Six Flags, Ventus. After the close, we've got Dropbox and Fitbix.
Fitbix.
There you go. I should have mine on today, but I don't. But so there's a long list of them. Probably a lot of smaller companies as we do get near the end of the earnings season. So make sure you like, share, comment, question, feedback, heckling, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Good morning, everybody. Got a lot of folks saying good morning and I just love that. Level 2, good morning. George, Keith, John, Sam, Jim, Deg, Dan, Carlos, Jacob, Rob, Riz, Brendan, Ezekiel, good morning to all of you. All right, crude oil just opening up. It seems as though it has left the opening range at the low of the session. It did open with a gap. That might be helpful information for us, but we are expecting the EIA due out this morning. So why don't we jump into the charts and we'll start taking a look here. Oh, here we go.
You can see the opening break.
Right, so rollover ends today. Today is the last trading day for crude oil. We should all know that we should be trading the April contract, of course. We've seen this market put in a bottom here. We broke out of weekly kickoff high 5280 yesterday. We did add 4,000 in open interest on the preliminary numbers yesterday. Pretty decent volume. This market, this new auction to the upside is presenting as pretty healthy here. Now, API announced that they were saying that there was a 4.2 million barrel boost in crude stocks here in the U.S. The EIA is expecting smaller than that. They're looking for 2.5 million barrel boost. Even with that, there's supply issues supporting these prices. OPEC talking about reducing production. Russia, they're not sure if they've committed to anything, and who knows if any of them are going to commit and stick to what they say they're going to do. And then, of course, Libya, having issues with production. So volume and open interest again yesterday indicating a pretty good bet that there's money coming into the long side here. This was a heavily shorted market. Now it seems as though we've turned tail and are heading the other way. Again, watch for the EIA. It may keep things a little bit quieter before then, but we do have gap rules. So here's our gap opening range so far, the low of the regular trading hour session. If that doesn't hold, I'll look for any of these overnight longs to bail out, push this market back towards settlement, back to inside value, and then I think we can probably rest and wait for the information due out today at 10 o'clock due to the Monday holiday this week. So if this opening range trade doesn't work, I'm going to probably try and relax, see if we can get this gap closed, see what the numbers are at 10 o'clock and respond to this market after that. S&Ps. So we're in about 6 days of kind of indecisive activity in the S&Ps. And the S&Ps, the NASDAQ looks different. We're going to take a look at that shortly. The S&Ps are just kind of holding up here above this 3370 previous weekly kickoff level. It has been supportive so far this week. It's kind of range bound here. To me, that's probably a good sign for continuation to the upside, because as we continue to consolidate here, we may start to even out some of the inventory that a lot of people are assuming is way too long for this to continue. And overbought means there's way too many weaker hands longs in this market, and as we hang out here, we may even out some of that inventory. The volume not great yesterday. Volume has really been kind of falling off since we've been kind of reaching at this new level of highs, and that doesn't make me afraid of this, because the S&Ps don't typically put up huge volume on the upside. It's the New York Stock Exchange that you want to watch where the volume is concerned on upside in the equities. So I'm going to be looking at this 3370 as a possible support level for us today. I want to remind everybody to trade what you see. Trade what you see. It's very easy to come into a bias, especially when the talking heads on TV are all saying overbought, overbought, overbought. How many years I've seen this market be called overbought and then just continue to march to the upside. So, that said, volume low yesterday, open interest, we added 15,000 contracts, so maybe some more money coming into that long side here yesterday. Here's yesterday's activity. It was an up day, okay? It kind of almost presents as a short covering day, but we did add 15,000 on the preliminary bulletin. So it looks like we still had money coming into this market. Are we going to open with a gap or are we not? We're right near the low of yesterday's regular trading hour range. We're probably holding some short inventory as the majority of last night's trade traded below settlement, which was 33.87 So what does that mean? Well, I'm going to be looking for opportunities probably near the extremes of yesterday's regular trading hour range, near our overnight high and low, and certainly I'll be interested in seeing if I get an opportunity to look for an execution down here near 33.70. We got a little bit of time before we're going to find out if we're going to open in range or out of range, if we're going to create a gap or are we not. We've got a gap to fill from yesterday to the day before, almost filled in the overnight. I'd like to see that get filled in the regular trading hours to see if I can get an opportunity to buy a weakness in this market. Again, would love to see an opportunity down here near this 3370 area. It's a risk limiter, right? It's all about managing risk. So, yeah, let's take a look at the NASDAQ now. Even though they're very similar in asset, they're different charts, right? The NASDAQ is continuing to push higher over time, where the S&Ps have kind of taken a rest here and consolidated for a few days. The NASDAQ continues to push higher highs, higher lows. In general, it's a very strong market. The structure is still very good to the upside. Volume is a little bit concerning yesterday on an all-time high. You know, again, it doesn't concern me that much because as these markets continue higher, the equities, the futures don't bring in the high volume. So open interest was moot yesterday. We actually lost 600 in open interest in the NASDAQ yesterday. So let's take a quick look at the 30 and see if we can find any decent opportunities. We do have some short overnight inventory. Our overnight low inside yesterday's regular trading hour range. Would love to see this gap get closed for an opportunity to see if I can buy a weakness in this market, but largely the market in range and pretty close to value from yesterday. I'm going to suggest trying to stay a little bit patient in this market. Again, overnight low, overnight high, interesting levels. Move back to settlement would not be all that difficult for us to achieve if we are holding overnight inventory on the short side and they get an indication that they're not going to get paid anymore. And a good test of that would be if we get to the overnight low. If we get to the overnight low and we can't penetrate it, we can't accept below it, that may be enough to tell all of our overnight weaker money shorts, hey, you're not getting paid on this anymore, let's get out. Maybe we'll have an opportunity to see this market move back towards settlement. Watch the opening range in the S&Ps as well as in the NASDAQ. I'm always watching that first minute of trade. We may have to go back and see if we took out the low of the opening range in crude here very shortly. All right, so let's take a quick look at the gold. Okay, the fear continues to be in this market. We are now above that 1650 level from back in